right now at 5:30.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Consider this the calm before the storm. It looks and feels great outside right now, but that changes tonight. The biggest threat this week, heavy rain. Meteorologist Evan Hatter has the latest on this severe weather alert day. Evan?
That's right, Steve. A flood watch in effect for just about everybody in the mountains as we head into our late night hours tonight and through tomorrow. We got quite a bit of rain on the way. Some above average temperatures and breezy conditions as well outside. You see the look at that flood watch in effect for all but 5 counties in the viewing area. Our far southeastern counties, Claiborne County in Tennessee, and then our 4 southwest Virginia counties, plus the independent city of Norton, all not under that watch. But go ahead and act like you are. The effects will be the same in many cases. I-75 at London, watching those high clouds continue to move in. Mountain Parkway at Slade, our next destination. They're starting to see a few more clouds work in as well, as they are on the mild side tonight. Temperatures remain low to middle 60s around the region. We were in the upper 60s not long ago, but you can tell where the clouds have been because they're a little bit milder, or a little bit cooler, I should say, into the Cumberland Valley. Winds coming out of the south, 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting at times up to 30 miles per hour. That puts us in fire danger in some cases. That's something we need to be keeping an eye on. Satellite and radar, most of that southern area of showers, that's going to miss us, but we're not completely done with it, with the rain chances just yet. In fact, they increase later on tonight in the low 50s. I'll have the latest on when we really get those showers in here and how much rain we could see coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. With forecasters predicting several inches of rain possible this week, at least some minor flooding is a pretty good bet. WYMT's Alyssa Williams spoke with emergency personnel on the precautions folks should take today to better prepare them for the potential risks later this week.
When heavy rainfall hits, creeks and other waterways naturally start to rise, which often leads to flooding across the region.
If you live in a low-lying area, just be aware of where the water will come to, and when you see it approaching, you may want to evacuate to a higher ground.
Deputy Chief with the Hazard Police Department, James East, says being prepared for flooding is key. So if you live in a flood-prone area, it's best to assemble an emergency kit in case you run into any issues.
Yeah, I would always make sure that you've got an emergency kit, not only in your car, but also in your house. That would include blankets, dry clothing, flashlights, things of that nature.
And Perry County Emergency Management Director Jerry Stacy says if you are out on the roads and see a large amount of water across a roadway, turn around and don't drown.
If you have to be out, any water on roadways, make sure that you don't drive through those situations. You just don't know how deep it is. It's not worth taking a risk.
Both East and Stacy say preparation is the most important thing when dealing with a potential flood risk.
You know, be vigilant in keeping up with everything and all your surroundings.
Helping everyone to stay ahead of the rainfall and any problems that might come your way. In Hazard, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Stacy says road crews are doing all they can to prepare for the potential rainfall later this week. Well, next week marks 1 year since historic flooding swept through much of eastern and central Kentucky. For those living in Estill County, that rain broke records, with the Kentucky River reaching a height of 41 feet in the county last March. County officials say while flooding is something people deal with every year, there is very little the county can do to mitigate these flood threats, and they unfortunately just have to take them as they come.
We just pretty much deal with each flood as it comes and do what we have to get things straightened out the best that we can, and that's about all we can do.
Watson says the county is cleaning out many low water crossings and other culverts around the county that filled up with debris from winter storms, which they hope will help some areas avoid issues. Kentucky lawmakers may consider a bill to give cities and counties more power to pass their own rules dealing with smoking and vaping. It's Senate Bill 166. Doctors say vaping's impact on health still has a lot of question marks. but believe it is not a good alternative to smoking. Vape shop owners tell us this law could harm their businesses. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more from Frankfort.
Senate Bill 166 would allow cities or counties or other local governments the ability to adopt tougher rules or restrictions than the state allows when it comes to smoking or vaping products.
There's nothing really to be gained by vaping, especially people who are non-smokers, non-vapers. There's nothing to be gained by starting.
It comes as vaping stores are gaining in popularity, and many even advertise that it's less harmful than tobacco.
That may be true, limited, okay? The problem is we don't know in 5 or 10 or 20 years what vaping is going to do to the lungs.
I spoke with the owner of 4 Lexington vape stores. He says this bill would be extremely damaging because they would have to fight regulation in every city and county. And he says that would be also damaging to thousands of mom and pop style businesses that employ a lot of people. Tony Florence of 723 Vapor says vaping products generate a lot of tax revenue for the state. And he says this bill would be hurtful to a product that he says is less harmful than cigarettes. Dr. Fox says vaping is still concerning, though, for young people.
Can probably, with the nicotine, affect, brain development in young people. It can also be addictive.
The bill is sponsored by Senator Will Schroeder of Northern Kentucky, and if passed, it would impact the use, sale, or distribution of tobacco or vapor products. In Lexington, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The bill has been assigned to the Senate Health and Welfare Committee but has not yet been called up for a vote. Back in November, we told you about the firing of former Georgetown College President William Jones. He was fired due to claims that he sexually harassed a female employee on a work trip. Now the Lexington Herald-Leader reports that a second woman filed a lawsuit against Jones, claiming she was fired from her position at the school after coming forward about being sexually harassed by Jones back in 2016. One Tennessee man is indicted after being accused of stealing roughly $10,000 worth of sports cards from a store in Kentucky. The Lexington Herald-Leader reports a federal grand jury handed down the indictment against 38-year-old Jason Cates of Knoxville. He faces charges of conspiracy and transporting stolen goods across state lines. The indictment says Cates and an unnamed co-conspirator drove from Knoxville to Lexington in September 2021. That's where Cates allegedly stole about 1,000 sports cards from the Kentucky Roadshow shop. The search continues for a robbery suspect in southern Kentucky. State police in Rockcastle County are looking for Woodrow Lamb. They say earlier this year Lamb broke into a home and shot someone. Police say Lamb is dangerous. Police have arrested his girlfriend, Lindsay Ballou. She's now in the Rockcastle County Jail facing complicity to commit robbery charges. She'll be back in court 1 week from today. Florida's House of Representatives is scheduled to take up a controversial education bill tomorrow that opponents have dubbed "Don't Say Gay." It prohibits classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in the younger grade levels. Opponents say a new amendment to the measure will put vulnerable LGBTQ students even more at risk. CBS's Wendy Gillette reports from New York.
Free to say gay. LGBTQ advocates protested over the weekend in Naples, Florida, as the state's House of Representatives prepares to take up a controversial parental rights and education bill. Opponents have labeled it the Don't Say Gay bill.
Don't silence gay people's lives, LGBT lives.
Florida House Bill number 1557 states that a school district may not encourage classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in primary grade levels or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students. Supporters stress the bill is meant to address students in kindergarten through 3rd grade.
I think that's way too deep for children this age to be talking about sexual things.
Florida State Senator Dennis Baxley is the sponsor of the Senate version of the bill. He says schools should concentrate on core skills.
Look, we want you to teach them to read and do math and do science. And we're not interested in the social engineering to be done by the school system.
It would force kids back into the proverbial closet.
Scott Galvin is the executive director of Safe Schools South Florida. He says a proposed amendment could lead to schools outing LGBTQ students to their parents. The bill had allowed schools to withhold parental notification if a reasonably prudent person would believe that disclosure would result in abuse, abandonment, or neglect. But the amendment would require the school to disclose such information within 6 weeks.
If that amendment is included, why is it going to have a chilling effect?
It forces kids to stay quiet at school, to not be their authentic selves.
A recent study found LGBTQ students who reported their school to be LGBTQ affirming had 30% lower odds of being bullied in the past year. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, New York.
The bill would also give parents the right to sue the school if they feel the school is in violation of the legislation. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, it's a check many Americans plan for every year. But is that tax refund costing you money? We share some tips on how to make the most of your money.
And another breezy one on the way as we watch showers and storms take aim on the mountains. I'll have the very latest coming up.
WYMT News app offers alerts on breaking stories as they happen, customized to the categories you choose.